You're not broke because you lack money, you're broke because you lack value. And I was the same way for a long time in my life. I was prioritizing the wrong amount of things. Oftentimes people always use the excuse, oh, it costs too much, or oh, I gotta pay this, or I gotta pay that, and they're not looking at everything in their life. Now there are very few people in this world who, use their last dollar to take care of the things they need to take care of in life, but understanding that there's also more of life. There's more to life than living paycheck to paycheck, living on your last dollar. I done been broke before to where my account was in the negative. So when I'm speaking on this, I'm not speaking from being unexperienced. I'm speaking from being a walking testimony of how whenever I changed the value of money and the value of time and the value of myself and my mindset, everything changed for me. Things seem so cliche when we hear certain people online talk about it, and it seems like everybody's saying the same thing, or it's not that simple, or it's more complicated, but it's quite literally that simple. You might have other complications in life, or other traumas, or other things that are holding you back or keeping you in the same place, but that doesn't mean that they're unsolvable. Just because you're bad at something doesn't mean that you should continue to be bad at it. If you're saying that you want to be great, if you're saying that you want a better quality of life, then why are you not working towards doing that in everything that you do? John 10 verse 10 in the Bible says, I have come that they may have life and have it to the full. That's powerful. I have come that they may have life and have it full. Full meaning abundantly, right? So when we're looking at biblical times, abundance is different during then. They often had shekels of silver, bread, cheese, things of that nature, livestock. Now we look at abundance differently because of the social concepts that we follow and believe in. But truth be told, the same principles stand. God gives us life for it to be full. He gives us so many opportunities and resources for everyone individually and collectively to really achieve and attain that abundant life. He wants that. So the first step is to be close to God, to be connected to Jesus Christ. And once you do that, it's going to be a lot easier for you to hear his voice when it's time to walk that path of abundance. Another verse I love is Proverbs 21 verse 20. Bible says the wise store up choice food and olive oil, and fools gulp theirs down. This really relates to today's age of, if you're spending every dollar you get. Oftentimes I see people, really struggling. I'm not even going to talk about the people who are making money and living above their means. That's a whole different genre of people. But let me go back to reality for a second and talk about people who are really struggling, who are really working and living paycheck to paycheck. But oftentimes, like I said, there are a few people in this world who just work and just pay the bills and just do that. But you have to understand, guys, there's other opportunities if that's you. And if that's not you, oftentimes you might work and have a little bit left over and still pay the bills, right? But oftentimes you're spending money. You're going out to eat every week. You're getting out to eat food every couple of days. Every single time you got a craving for Starbucks, you're swiping $5 here, $5 here, and you're just like, oh, it's only $5. But you're not valuing your money. You're not realizing how you could better invest that. And until you're in a position where your money is invested and now you have excess money, then you can spoil yourself. Then you can eat out all the time. Then you can go on trips. But I hear it time and time again, like even when I went on my trip to Mexico, somebody told me, like, they were saying it jokingly, but they were being serious. They're like, I don't care if I gotta go broke, I'm going on the trip, And they were telling me it was some random guy that I met when I was down there, and he was telling me he was a college student and all these places he traveled, and I'm like, damn, bro, it's pretty cool. Like, you traveled a lot. Like, I haven't even traveled that much, And he was like, yeah, man. He's like, I was just always making a thing to go on a trip. Like, he was saying it's so therapeutic, but what I really took away from it is he was saying that he's willing to go broke for a trip, and what you guys don't understand, I use that term instant gratification a lot, and that's oftentimes what people have with trips. Don't get me wrong, I love to travel. I feel like everybody should take a good trip, but you have to understand that now might not be your time. Now, instead of investing that money into a trip, maybe it's time to invest that money into your business. Maybe instead of investing that money into a trip, it's time to invest it into a stock account. Like, you guys have to understand you can diversify your money in so many different ways, and just understand that, if you stay down for a little bit, if you leave that trip alone, if you leave the new car you want alone, if you leave the jewelry alone, if you leave the out to eat food alone and the clubbing and drinking alone for a little bit. Some people have problems with spending money on clothes. That used to be me. Like, I used to always be buying clothes, buying expensive shoes, buying expensive accessories. And you have to understand that that stuff's not needed. That stuff is just going to only make you fulfilled for a short amount of time. And then you're just going to want the next best thing, the next best car, the next piece of jewelry, the next trip. You want to go to the next place. So understand that there will be a time in life for you to spoil yourself. There will be a time for you to go crazy and, be able to celebrate all the hard work that you put in, but now might not be that time. That was for me about 2 years ago when I first started my business journey. I locked in. I went all in. I'm working my 9 to 5 all day. I'm running a credit repair business on the side. I'm doing car rentals and dropping off cars all day while I'm working remotely in IT and SEO, and I'm running my credit repair business, and I'm dropping off my whips and getting them clean and dropping them off, picking them up, getting content for my car rental company, getting content for my credit repair company, doing all my tasks at work. I was still going to the gym for 2 hours a day. The gym is something I really prioritize. Health is wealth. So I'm going to the gym all day, and I'm still building this business, and I'm trading stocks on the side, and I was doing chauffeur jobs in black trucks at the time. I used to drive people around in black trucks. Be the driver, be the worker. And now when people look at me, they're like, oh, you're so young to be a boss, you're so young to have a staff, you're so young to be running a business. But they don't see 2 years ago what I was putting in. They didn't see when I was 22 years old and everybody else, all my friends and peers was out at the club, I was staying down in the crib. They didn't see when everybody was going broke about buying the next new piece of clothes or going broke from having sections every weekend. I was going broke investing into my business. I was going broke investing in the stocks. And you have to understand that everybody has that same opportunity. Stop telling yourself that that's not you. Stop telling yourself that you don't want that lifestyle that you desire, because you know that you want that lifestyle you desire. You just don't. You just understand that the only people that make it to that level make the sacrifice, and you don't feel like you can make that sacrifice in your life for whatever excuse that you're giving yourself. Understand that the sooner you make that switch, the sooner your life switches. Understand that you're never too old to achieve that lifestyle that you want to achieve. Oftentimes people be 40 years old, even 50 years old, changing their life. People go from being broke for 40, 50 years to becoming millionaires. And understand that it's not all about money, but it's about freedom. It's about opportunity. It's about living that abundant life. One of the real mindset shifts that created wealth for me was trading consumption for creation. Majority of people in this world, including my past self, are consumers. They binge on content and YouTube and Netflix, and they're so concerned about what the next celebrity or famous person has going on in their life. Most people spend to impress. They do these things just to look a certain type of way. The majority of people, they just do these things backwards and wait for something to change. I see it with Christians all the time. Christians have a bad habit of, oh yeah, I'm going to trust in God and he's going to bless me with an abundant life, because it says that in the Bible. But the Bible also says that you have to work for the things that you need in life. The Bible also says that you have to obey God. The Bible also says that you have to work for the things and show God a reason why he should give them to you. God's not going to just bless you because you're one of his creation. He already did that. He's going to bless you because you're spreading the gospel. You're adding value to his kingdom. So understanding that is a crucial part of having that mindset shift. See, I used to be a consumer. I used to scroll on my phone all day. I used to be in the celebrity news. I used to be able to tell you the newest shoes that were coming out. And I spent so much time consuming, it was taking up a lot of the free time that I had to build. Oftentimes, I was putting so much effort into watching people's vlogs and getting dopamine off of how they were living their lifestyle. And if I'm going to be researching and watching YouTube videos, I should have been spending that time figuring out how I could shift my mindset and put myself in that position. Too many people get dopamine off of consumption. It's instant gratification. You can watch a YouTube video of somebody vlogging and going to Jamaica, and you get a similar feeling as if you would have went there. Obviously it's not the same experience, but people do that. Why do you think people watch the Kardashians and shows like that so much? You know what I'm saying? People love to see these people live their lifestyle. They like to feed off the drama and the things that change and watch them travel and watch them live in mansions, and that's good enough for them. They go to work all day, they punch in, and when they get off, they relax and watch the Kardashians. You know what I'm saying? Or relax and watch whatever reality TV shows are out now. Jersey Shore, I couldn't even tell you, because that's how long I've not been a consumer. See, creators, they find a problem and they find a solution, and they find a way to create something, create content, create a product, create a service, create a technology, create a software that is going to solve problems for a lot of people. And once you do that, now you can help out God's kingdom and you can push out something positive to all of these other consumers, because everybody's a consumer in one way or another. But when you start shifting your everyday habits to a creator as opposed to a consumer, that's how you're going to generate wealth for yourself and your family. Stop going broke to cope. A lot of people spend to numb discomfort. You see it all the time. There's people that work all week and then they got to go get a drink on the weekend. They got to go kick it at the club on the weekend, and it's because they're escaping their reality. The majority of the week they're working. They're not living the life that they want to live. They're not living as freely as they want to live. They're not spending the time that they want to spend. So what are they doing with their free time? They're spending money to numb discomfort. If you make $20 an hour, a lot of you guys are going to the clubs and buying a drink for $20. So one of the 60-minute increments that you were at work, whatever it is that you're doing for somebody else, 60 minutes of that is what you just traded for that one drink. That one drink to make you feel good and be like, oh my God, I'm finally free. You get what I'm saying? Give you that dopamine. Y'all got to understand, you got to stop feeding yourself that. Stop spending to numb discomfort. Stop spending money to cope. Stop going broke to cope. Understand that that money could be more invested. That $20 you could put into a stock. That $20 you can save up every single week instead of going to the club, and before you know it, you'll have $100, $300 to start an LLC. You'll have, $200, $300 to invest into a course. Like, understanding that there is better places your money can be working, especially if you're trading time for money. Your money is a lot more valuable at that point. And that's what you have to understand. Once you stop trading time for money, the value switch. The time becomes more valuable because you understand money is easy. And you understand, especially if you're a follower of Christ, money is easy for God. And I said this in my last video, but most people are a drain. Become a fountain. If you want to attract abundance, that's a law of attraction. You have to give abundance. Everything that comes from you has to serve people abundantly. A lot of people are too worried about how can I make money. Stop worrying about how you can make money and ask yourself, how can I provide more value? How can I give back to God's kingdom? How can I solve a problem that a lot of people are dealing with? And how can I charge a fair price for my family and not to eat off of forever? Oftentimes, a lot of people aren't here trying to sell you courses and sell you game of how you can start up this get rich quick scheme, man. You don't need to do that. All you need to do is find a good product, find a good service that's going to really change somebody's life, that's going to make them feel good about themselves, that's going to make something easier for them, that's going to make things more convenient, and they're going to pay you forever. And now you just changed their life. Now you just made their life a little easier. Now you made them feel a little better. You get what I'm saying? Now they're more confident, so they perform better. Now they have something that helps them actually perform better, so they perform better. Understanding that you don't have to fall into one of these get-rich-quick schemes. All you have to do is find a problem and find a good solution and give it abundantly. Make sure the thing that the people are paying for is a lot more valuable than what they're paying. And money follows value. Solve problems, meet needs, save time, and create peace for yourself. And people will pay you for that. People will invest into you for that. Instead of asking yourself, hey, I need to pay the phone bill or the electricity bill. Let me make a quick $500. How can I come up on a quick $500? A lot of y'all do that. Try to get in parlays real quick. Let me hit a quick parlay, and you lose your whole bag trying to make that $500. No. Instead, ask yourself, what product can I make or what service can I do for people that's going to make them come back to me, that's going to pay me $500 monthly, so I can stop every single month sitting here trying to scramble around and come up with a few extra $100 and I got it coming in. Job or not, that's a possibility. Understand that the majority of all these rich CEOs, they started with an LLC. Look up some of your favorite, biggest companies right now. Some of them might have transitioned over to an S Corp or a C Corp or a trust for tax reasons, but the majority of them are still LLCs, or they started as one. It started as one person going into that building and creating that business and putting in the work to grow that business and putting that systems into place on that business so they could really run it up and take it to the next level and putting their all in the marketing and not using money to cope with stress, using money to invest in the business. Not using distractions to cope with stress. Using their time, instead of being distracted, use that time to put into their business. Instead of sitting here trying to distract themselves with things that don't really serve them, that give them a little bit of instant gratification, that gives them a little bit of a good experience, and once it's over, they're back to reality and their life sucks. I was in that position. I used to be in the clubs. That's why I speak on it all the time. And you can sit here and whatever and say, oh, I make money, or oh, I be on my stuff, and make all these excuses, but are you where you want to be? Are you at the top level? Okay, you made $100,000 a year. Cool. Realistically, to the big dogs, that's a little money. $100,000 is little money, And I'm not saying it's not a lot of money, but when you're really looking at it of living your best quality of life, is $100,000 a lot? Or in this economy, $100,000 is a luxurious lower class in this day and age. And people might not agree with that because they don't make that much. But understand that if you're making less than that in this economy, you're even more lower class. And I'm not saying that to make you feel bad. I'm saying that as a fact. Everything is high as shit right now. Rent is averaging $1,500. Gas is $3, $4, $5 a gallon, depending on where you living at. Food is outrageous. People are spending damn near $10 on eggs, $12 on eggs. Understanding that that's the reality of what we live in right now. So are you going to continue to drown in it, or are you going to swim? Are you going to stay afloat? Are you going to continue to drown in it, or are you going to be the one that creates the life rafts for people to get out the water, to help people stop drowning, and have them pay you for that? Understand that that's the possibility in this world. And I'm not saying you got to sell something that gets people to financial literacy, or you have to sell something that whatever, but sell them something. Help somebody out because you value somewhere. It might be a hobby to you. It might be a little skill to you, and you don't even know that you could change somebody's life with that. So sit down, get with God, and figure out how you can do that and spread the abundance, and I promise it will come back to you in return. And I already touched on it briefly, but understand that it's discipline over dopamine, discipline over motivation. A lot of people use motivation to get dopamine. They listen to videos like this, or even more real motivational speakers, and they feel like because they watched that video and they listened to it and they analyzed it, that now they're doing better in their life. No, get off this video when you're done and go do the thing that you need to do. Get off this video when you're done and go to Walmart and get you a whiteboard for $20 and hang it on the wall and get you a couple different color markers and go figure out every single task you need to do in life for you to get to the next level. And don't leave your house until everything's checked. A lot of people, oftentimes, they need instant dopamine. They get dopamine from distractions. They're like, oh, I work hard. Let me go ball out. Let me go to the club. Let me go to the mall. No, say that. Put it into that business. Like, you never know where this could take you. 3 months, 6 months. Sometimes it might even take a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. You never know how long it's going to take. But I've seen my life change, and I've seen people around me's life change in a very, very short amount of time. I've seen people go from broke to 10K a month to 20K a month to 50K a month in a matter of 3 months. And that's not cap. That's real. That's the reality. Understand that once you crack that code, you crack that code. Understand that once God sees you living your life through him and keeping him in the center of your life, and he sees you giving back to the kingdom, understand that that overflow is going to come in one way or another, and it's going to be abundantly. It might not always come in the form of money initially. Maybe it comes in the form of opportunity, but he's going to spread that abundance. Maybe it comes in the form of network, but it's going to be an abundant network. Understand that good things will come to your life if you put in the work and you put out the energy to attract them. But understand that they don't just come. When I was more so heavily running my credit business, people would hit me all the time like, yo, bro, I want to lock in for credit. I want to fix your credit. How much is it? It's $500. Bro, that's kind of steep. That's too much. That's too much. And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to lower my value. I feel like that's a pretty good price. I'm getting everything off. And they're like, yeah, I'm going to hit you next week when I get paid. I'm going to hit you next week when I get paid. And on Saturday, I see them popping bottles in the club. On Saturday, I see a sign coming out with their name on it. On Friday night, I see them at Ruth Chris Steakhouse with a tab of $500, $600, $700. And it's crazy. It's like, I'm not saying you can't enjoy yourself, but if you got a 400 credit score, what you doing in the club? What you doing in the steakhouse? If your money is not right, if you damn near got to check, if you have to check the price of everything while you're out, you shouldn't really be out like that. It should really be an occasional thing. I know people that go out every single weekend, go out to eat every single weekend, and they're like, how much is that? How much is that? How much is that? You really want to be in that position forever? So I'm not saying you got to go get the mansion or you got to go get the nicest car or the craziest jewelry. You got to be a multi-millionaire, but understanding that if you're still in a position where gas prices bother you or grocery prices bother you, understanding that you can put in better time in your free time to make that less of a problem for you, to maybe not have to stress about that so much. So my point is, stop saying money's tight when you're continuously making choices that get you there. Y'all say, oh, going to get that degree or going to get that certification or going to get this course or mentorship is too expensive. It's too much. Yet sometimes you can get access to this information for even cheaper, and you spend that times 10 on fast food in 30 days and going out and all these types of things. So understand that if you're not in the position you want to be, reevaluate your lives, reevaluate your values, reevaluate your beliefs. Stop trading so much time for money. I'm not saying go out and splurge and buy different things, but if something is taking up too much time, figure out how much money you need to pay to get that time back and figure out if that's valuable enough for you. Figure out what you can do to make your life easier. Every week, I get my house cleaned by a cleaner, a professional cleaner, every single week. Realistically, I got cleaning materials. Realistically, I know how to clean a home. I was in the military. I cleaned all the time. Anybody who's been in the military knows you clean left and right like you're a maid. At the lowest level, they give you very low level work. So I've cleaned my whole life. I know how to clean, but I pay a maid every week, $300 every week. I pay a company for my meal preps. I get my meal preps made. I really don't cook much. Here and there, I'll cook, date night with my lady and whatnot, I'll cook. But understand that majority of the time I'm paying for meal preps because I need to stay on track. I need my food weighed out. I need the proper foods bought. I don't want to spend 2 hours a week in the grocery store. I don't want to spend 8 hours a week cooking. I don't want to spend 3 hours a week cleaning. You get what I'm saying? That's time I could be putting into my business. I'm not sitting here while my cleaning lady is cleaning or while my meal preps are being made or anything like that and just watching TV. Just kicking it with the guys. And it's not stuff I do anymore. That's stuff I did before my life elevated. And understanding that it's not going to be away forever, but you're going to do this every week. This is how you get stuck in the cycle. This is how you get stuck in the rat race. Chasing money just to give you a little bit of gratification and doing it again and again and again until you're 65. And I might not be speaking to everybody. Some people want to live their life that way. I'm not knocking that. If you want to live your life that way, I'm not knocking that. But I'm speaking to the people that don't want to live their life that way. I'm speaking to the people that want to make that change. I'm speaking to the people that are tired of living that way. I would have been tired of living that way for so long, you know? And I'm never comfortable. Even now with the success that I've had, all glory to God, I'm not living like that anymore. And I'm still trying to get better. I still want to get to the next level. Because even now, I have so many different things that I still do. You know, even with me being in automation and having a fully automated credit business, I still have things that I do that I need to automate and things like that in my other businesses. So understanding that, working on that, working towards that. I'm not going to be sitting here partying and enjoying myself just because I make money in my sleep and my business still gets taken care of. No, I'm going to be sitting here every day figuring out how I can make it better and better and better and better, because I'm not in that position yet. I'm not in that mansion that I was showing you guys in the last video. You know, I could be, but is it the best decision? No, I'm not in it yet. I need to get in a better position for that to be a good decision. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm working on right now. What am I doing right now? I'm creating. I could be scrolling on TikTok right now. I could be on YouTube right now. I could be scrolling on Instagram right now, but I'm not. I'm creating. I'm providing value. You get what I'm saying? So understanding that everything is what I preach is what I do. I waited a very long time to start this YouTube channel, way longer than I should have. And I waited a very long time to put this type of game out because I was too worried about not being experienced. I'd have been in the field now. I done ran it up from zero a couple times. I done went back down to zero a couple times. So now I got something to talk about. So understanding that if I can do it, y'all can do it. Life can change for you. Just keep God in the center of that and follow all the required steps, and it's that easy. That's a blueprint of success. No $10,000 mentorship needed for that. So I hope y'all stay blessed. I hope y'all apply this to life. And, you know, today, when you're done watching this video, go do something for yourself. Go do something that's working towards that goal that you've been pushing off, because it's really you versus you. You getting in your own way. Change that value.